I think I could see it now. Yes, it was a disguise. Yes, put in under a false name. Mary Cameron. I put her in the asylum under a false name, and that false name was Michael Cameron. So it was the same scenario that was done with Jesus. It was Saint Magdalene on the cross, crucified. She was disguised under a false name. Jesus. That was the brooch of Saint Magdalene. The strange case, her case. It was a sword wound in the side, the spear. So the whole Bible's New Testament was about her. Magdalene. Not Jesus. He was a name that was used to exclude the holy feminine women. That's how it was done. It was successful for centuries. Years. Yes. It was reverse. Reverse. The bride of Christ. Jesus. A disguise. A pirate. The pirate. A pirate in hell. The pirate. The point is that she was God's champion. Thoroughbred. Jonah was Joan of Arc. Mozart, of course. That's what they hated, jealousy of. God's chosen choice. A 13th century transvestite nuns, the order. No, it was the 15th century, 16th century. Oh, whatever it was Catherine? Saint? That's what they resented. They give lip service to democracy, but they resent that God chose someone who's not slaughtered. Not good. Cochon convicted Joan for wearing men's clothes. Yet he was particularly jealous that she was the thoroughbred who won the battle and kicked the English out of France. That's it. This man, this patient, he was ill, sick, divorced from God by this pretense that was adopted by them. That's it. Whereas it wasn't a sickness, it was a link to the messages. And they've cut it off because it's another space-time area, levels. They're jealous of the wonder, the president, the prime minister, all of them. They were prisoners. Jonah. And they were Judas, 30 pieces of silver. They can't go back. They've done all this to get into this position and they're prisoners and it's a fall, it's collapsed. When they get it, it's worthless. It means nothing. And this is the story of them. A Prime Minister, PM, RM, in the funeral pyre. Fire. I leant forward at the bar table. Yeah, in the court. He spewed. He was spewed out. I spewed him. That was the evidence that was given. Yes, inside the whale. George Orwell's essay. Essayed. Survey. I was a surveyor. I told this to the court. Inside the whale, surveying the compartments, the pillars, the walls, as I went in from one to the other and out and heard the noise behind and all around. I was frantically looking up the cliff at Lorna Doone. That was the area it was called. It was marked, designated on the map. I tried to get up there, up the stream. The windows had been opened all around me. The gizzards of the ship inside the whale. I called it. That was the myth. The whale. Jack London's ship. Yes, that was it. I tried to restore. You may think I'm mad, a scientist. That was another part of my sides. Yes. I tried to restore. It was the Immaculate Conception, the invention I was working on, I thought. I tried. It was esoteric, of course, and amazing, and... well, I know you, the court, don't believe it, but I was... Yes, look. The baby. A spirit working up. Yeah, tubes. It was blocked. A transmigration. I was sure it was. Yeah. There was the fish symbol, the ship, the whale, the white whale, the tomb. Yes, the tomb the baby was in. The spirit was locked in a little square, a coffin within a capsule. I watched it on the slide, the screen, the smear. So the baby was trapped. That was the conclusion which I'd drawn. Yes, as I heard the noise in the lab all around me and the hordes tried to break in, and I was sure it was a mirror I was looking at. There, they were shooting, trying to break in, and she was reborn. Of course. I quickly looked at the pages of the map I had before me. I could see a way out of the mansion. Of course, this abyss. That was it. By using the messages, the angels I heard. Transformation. Jewelry was worth millions of the mothers, the house of David. Rightful heir was worthy. Yes, the mind had been tamed and stopped from undermining and chatting, overthrowing conclusions I'd drawn and judgments that I'd intuited and of which I'd been sure. Of course, now I knew what had happened. Of course, that was it. Her body's organ had frozen the train of water. You could hear it now. A train of water in the terrain, in the glass case. The cage in which the baby had been placed, and it had been strangled, aborted, thwarted. My son could not find air. He could not reproduce. She, the rightful heir. That was why I escaped. Found the yield. The plastic was diluted. Yes, Emily had used her water and power to stem, break. A baby, a boy, a child. He that was struggling against the rising water was squeezed by the walls. The walls were squeezing, coming in as she gyrated her legs and writhed. He was trapped between her thighs. And he heard a voice, and I could hear the water rising now on the machine. I had to get out. She weathered the storm in the bed. The lost world. In chains I escaped from the womb, the ship, the area, the inside of the whale. A euphemism, a myth. For this woman, she seemed like a giant to me, a mother, superior, round me, of course, in the flesh. I fell overboard, as it were. I seemed to struggle, swallowed by the whale, Jonah, the ship, the hole, a Bermuda Triangle. I went in and the compartments all were there. 1, 2, 3, 4. All around like the Titanic, iced, blocked and water. There was the island. I went from compartment to compartment. I was struggling, suffocating and drowning. But inside each sealed area I opened and found a trail. There was a dry part, a dry area, and there were pages left. She'd left so I could follow like Hansel and Gretel, the legend. Of course, Marigold had left for me to follow. Yes, the island. To Treasure Island it was. A corridor I found and a compartment inside as I went in and I unsealed. Knew the combination. Yes, it was at the wall. Walls had been coming in freezing, front on, straight into my stomach, an umbilical cord, and I'd into it and use my shoulders to open and edge forward the XYZ and the seal, and bang, the area opened it to the next compartment. I was a baby in rebirth, seeking. I was in. Sign I saw to find and provide, and Christ, a picture, Magdalene. Of course. Yes. I went in, the table, Last Supper, heard them. Portraits, the ring, I was PM. There was the picture of America. Orange background and a turning wheel. Of course, the flywheel it looked like, but in the mirror it was reflected back into the centre of the forehead. My forehead. Yes, turned. It was the swastika. Went the way of the swastika. The Hitler turned and my teeth were broken on the wheel. Smashed, and there was a sign saying, "Hell, enter." Dante's circles. Swastika dissolved. Saw the Princess de Lambelle. Stuttered and went on, and my teeth, they were opened. Now I'm gasping, and there was the Vilfort. Word said heaven, 7 zealous to heaven, a cure. Desperate I crawled, I went in and choked and spewed and found surf. Submarine threw me out, as it were, the whale. Of course, the Navy. The naval. Jack London, of course it was Tibetan symbol. A drawing on the wall, and I saw the front of her. Before I'd gone in and saw the reversed. Now she was front on and I saw the lips, the vaginal area. Of course, that was what I'd done. Sexual imagery of the area, the brain, the whole body, mind, body and soul. I'd gone up tributaries and tubes and gone in and out. The baby I'd been, immaculate conception, rebirth. I knew she'd left the pants, the black pants. Body I'd seen, the 3 faces of Eve. Of course she was free. Been reading Jersey, Marigold. Of course, they'd all merged into one, 3 in 1. Ambiguous, the body, of course, in 2. Of course. Fairy tooth. A legend. I hear Scottish music outside. It plays at last. Ah, love it, of course. The model. I built the model after I'd found the items. As a monument, she, yes, he, she, the God, Jewish. I heard them all laughing and yelling at me in the conference. Yes, I was going to give the lecture. I was giving the lecture. They wouldn't believe me, but the Jewish word for God was he and she. Of course, amalgamated. There, saw the words above her, the piratess. The asylum, the cyst, it was there in the middle of the vagina area on the left lip. Had to treat it, deal with it, go in. The lawn of Doon Valley, it was designated on the map, the V, there in front of it. The rescue team, that's a member of which I was. Dial was obscured by the scab, the wound. Yes, the Christ. Inside with the compartments. Dante circles and turned. Of course, I would have to go in. A surgeon, like a submarine. A submarine. Of course, inside the monument, the whale, we do this rehearse. See, the boy, the child, the umbilical cord, the curse. As the child was inside, I could see. X-ray was pushing, trying to get out of the dam in front of it. Break down the dams and out. There was a sign in front of her. The sheets in the hospital bed and the bars at the end of the bed, they were rods of iron. They were the bars I'd seen of the cell in the picture of the brooch of Magdalene. The chains. He went around her. The miniature monument I'd built to practice on, and turned round and round, and the light shone at the top and head, and the lights had gone out, and a blackout and dark, and all the stayed with the lights, and I'd followed them in the tunnel of her womb, up past the navel, the back, and to the womb of her brain, the feminine mirror reflected and told me, glinted the messages of SOS that I followed like a Morse code, and I heard the child. Last born. It's how it occurred. God. Womb. It was before. The whole convoluted, twisted, crossed over voice box. The spirit, the chromosomes, as they move, they are made of energy, obviously, and a new gene, a manifest of an ancestral line that drives them, that drives the filthot, this circular wheel in a circle that projects us forward. Doth the flywheel to death to us join, escalating an snake-like circle that detects the points of electricity that you must pinpoint and we must follow if you are to follow. Take this path, my boy, it said, as if a father spoke to a son, and you will see us again at the gates of heaven. They will open, and then... When I turned around, a ceremony had been performed. Joined the children. A parchment was found. It stood nearby. It said... Time joins hands and the eclipse signifies. The clock strikes on its face 4:30 a.m. then is where the reconciliation of all the dates is. The point of electricity converges on the circle of Philfot, turns, and all ancestry's time, heritage, kindles the opening of the universe, rebirth that emerges, your ancestors into reappearance and repentance in life of the inheritor of the rightful legacy that is formed in the Western European British Constitutional Union. With Scotland and England and France and Spain and Portugal and guess the French Empress. They went on with their ritual and drowned. Finally, I entered the lift. I pressed the lower ground floor. There was the brick wall. I pressed a button, but nothing opened. I pressed again, and my finger went into the wedges, and I thumped it lightly with my fists, and all of a sudden it opened. It was a brilliant piece of mortar, concrete, and brick scenery, but scenery it was. A picture of her. There was a tunnel-contained corridor. It stretched afar into the distance, and in the chamber there were no clothes, nothing to indicate anybody at all. Looking around, I saw the area that was mainly dark. I began to walk up the cavern-like tunnel. There was sand on the floor, and I saw oil. I looked at the map that Michael Cameron's note had written in blank. The year was obscured, erased. It said, Richard Marble's tutelage. I would rule the world, this Zephyr of this kingdom, and have Suzanne. Still I am James Devine, and Michael Cameron, my other identity. I faked the ID and lost. As I stood on the coast, I threw the clothes and to one side and swam naked across into the blue to France. I was a cross-channel swimmer in 1922. Don't you remember? Michael Cameron, James Devine, Scottish and English and Jewish. I cursed as I stood before her. I wanted you dead, she said, as she hung there. Almost, she said. Her body was dismembered, truncated, what would be called skew-whiff, and her arms were crucified, nailed into the sides, and they were taut and pulled back, and her hair. She went on. I heard her, the scream, the gurgling like a dead echo. So you could wander in and out of life for the rest of your days in living hell, telling your story. For Lucifer, for what you did. Look! I looked at her. She was naked, burnt like an iron. I examined the side of her body. Burnt like an iron that had been stamped like a clamp on her cleavage was a mark Y, and another on her womb, X, as if branded by a wanton bastard's lips. As I leaned forward to kiss, I stopped. What was I doing? I'd suddenly become absorbed, taken in, sucked in, as if I leaned forward to examine. I was a doctor, a Marmaduke. I stuttered. I had trouble. I couldn't speak. I tried to examine the wound, and as I saw that she was nailed upon a cross, a door, like Barabbas, the thief of spirit. I couldn't believe she was... I could see against the door she was framed, and the words above it said prostitute. Mary Magdalene. But I knew this was rubbish from my studies, because I knew a prostitute, the word in old days, old Hebrew, was it, meant muse, a muse. The word itself had been prostituted. Now, 2,000 centuries later. Now, and lied. Lies. The statute books, the history books lied. The word meant she was a muse to Jesus. That's what the phrase meant. She who was his bride. And she had been crucified. In my mind, where Barabbas was. And I looked at the picture and saw that it was branded by a wanton bastard's lips. I married a witch, Victoria de Winter, Lady de Winter. Yeah, I smelt it. Victoria Lake was her other name, the Lady of the Lake. She was a nun. She was the saint, the nun I saw in the window that morn. As I stood in the street and she walked by. Then later the princess, de Lambert, the little girl. What was she trying to say to me? What's she saying? Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as gold. I looked at the detective. He was wild, fury raged in his face. We stood in the street facing each other, and he said, "So that's how he raped the nun. I'll murder him, I'll kill him." "No, hang on," I said. "Superintendent didn't rape the nun, he seduced her. Yes, she was in the window. VM, the glass, the stage. Yeah, he saw the glass stage mirror in front of him. Yeah, refer to Suzanne, the video, it says it. Quick, repeat it. He says I went up the vaginal tube. It's a doctor, you fool, a surgeon. It's all been distorted and contralted in a musical score. There are bars and lyrics that have formed themselves on the page by osmosis. Yes, he said he seduced VM. VM. The picture in the window. The hand. The piston. The masturbator. He went in. It wasn't masturbating, it was a utensil. An enema. A surgeon. The images were all quenched out and examined like fool's gold, except this is real gold this time. Look, have a look at the diagram. He's left it. You've got it in your hand. My God, your hand. You're the detective. You're it. You're him. None. Well, listen, play the tape. Quick, that traffic, it's just blasting out. It's blurring and drowning out everything we're trying to do. It's Von Heydrich trying to interfere again. For God's sake, here he comes. He's coming on his bike. Look, I can hear it on the motorbike. He's coming down through. Quick! Oh my God, he skewered me with a sword. Looked like Christ, Jesus Christ, with a spear in his side. Quick, raise up the portrait picture of yourself. Quick, the newsman, and they photographed it. Look, oh my God, look in the newspaper. There it is, a picture of you. Christ, sword in his side, and they're trying to draw it out like Arthur at the anvil trying to draw out the sword. Where's the ointment? Quick. It's you. It's you, detective. You stupid fool. It's you. Listen to the tape, you fool, behind the armour that we placed on you in the operation. It's in your imagination. Your imagination to armour plate you against them, Von Heydrich. The angels, Lucifer, you saw them attacking you, descending down in a row like strafing aircraft, machine gunning at you from heaven. There's the machine. It started up again. It's a rudimentary version of the pirate machine. It's trying to drain all the energy out of you and take it, steal the aeons, and yes, ill, cure you, cure you, cure you, cure you. Cure you. Let's hear the tapes again. They've got the evidence. Come on, play them, Sergeant. Play them, quick. Play them, quick, before we're drowned out, before we disappear and go down again. Quick. Chief Petty Officer at the mic goes dead. Chief Lieutenant, rescue officer, on the carrier. He was in the office. I reasoned. I tried the tapes. I listened. I tried to decipher. It became clear. I started pinpointing the island by latitude, longitude. The equator, the weather cleared, the ship approached. We alighted. I could see the forest, the transmitter, the stockade. I found there the Geiger counter. I ran my hand through my hair, I remember. Go on, witness. Go on. I'm cross-examining you. Well, you're not doing very well, are you? I'll go on at my own leisure. If you don't mind. Barrister. A pause. There was a pause. He turned over the page of the transcript from which he had been given permission by the judge to read, to refresh his memory. He paused and looked down at the page. Ditch. Yes, I remember now. I drew it here. I drew the ditch. It's a slip, a narrow channel. It's coming back to me now, I remember. He ran his head down there. There was a voice on the radio before it went dead. Before it went dead. Before it went dead. He looked out into the middle distance of the courtroom. His eye, the stenographer, took down the words. I was working fast in shorthand, sitting in front of the judge at the table. 3 others, a lovely young woman who, as I looked at the mirror, up at the back, down, at the base. I could see straight up to the mirror. I could see right up her skirt, up her legs. Yeah, she was beautiful, long blonde hair and wore glasses. I looked at her, fascinated. She wrote and wrote, and I got behind in my shorthand. I'd crib it off her after in the office. I knew that. After this was all over, after this court case was finished, I'd go back and I'd enter into the office after hours, and she'd be there and trying to put her work together before she went home to her husband, and I'd put my arm around her and I'd try and kiss her. And I was a lech, yes, I knew it, a leech as well, but I knew what she would do. She'd turn around and backhand me across the face, but that's what I wanted her to do, because I was a masochist and I wanted to provoke her into being a dominatrix and bash me in the face, and I'd feel better and I'd shape up. I didn't mind. Sometimes she did it voluntarily. I made her play the role. I gave her a few pennies after work sometimes to make her do it. But she didn't mind. Sometimes she put her legs apart as she did it and ran her fingers up between, well, you know, up to the V, her skirt hitched up, and she leaned forward and, oh, here come the police. Here they come. Yeah. Coming to get me because, you see, I was a prisoner and I was let off the leash, and she'd lean forward and sometimes she'd pash me first and then smash me across the face. I loved it. Begged her to put me in handcuffs and changed and wrenched me up by the ankles in chains, and yeah, I sent her underwear, the sexy underwear that I'd bought her. Just joking, it was a fantasy. I was obsessed by her and with her, but then I didn't want her. I was glad she was married and had her husband. Yeah, I bought these things for her and she just... No, I didn't want her. I didn't want her. I didn't want to whip her either. But I wanted to lie my body over her and ride it all over her bare back and kiss the back of her neck and lift up her curls. She dyed her hair, yeah, red that night. And she let me do it, and I, the Marquis Divine, kid you. I made it all up. It was a fantasy. Psychiatrist? Freud? I was sitting in this courtroom in the witness box in the ditch. I ran my finger around the channel, the narrow tributary-like channel that I'd drawn, and I looked at the pilot. It was in his headgear. It was like... Yes, it was white. Yes, I'm getting excited now, and I can't talk again. I'm thinking of my voice. It's... I remember. Yes, of course. The pilot's helmet was like white, World War II, but then it transformed and faded into grey, and I remember a skeleton. That's what he looked like as he lay there. The aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier. Oh, I felt the back of my teeth with my tongue, and I knew there was a central front tooth missing. Yes, I could see specks of memory and saw my face smashing into the controls of the fighter as it smashed in the ground next to the ditch. And bang, I bashed my face, and I felt I reached out for the joystick, and there was the stenographer. There she was, thighs apart, naked. And I reached out and tried to run my hand up the middle of her thighs and, well, you know, up to her V centre, the forest. The forest I'd mentioned. That's how it manifested. my mind. After the crash, the forest, the stockade, it was there. All I had to do was turn my hand around and lift my 2 fingers up there, up the tunnel, up the middle, and I'd be able to manoeuvre them into the back of the stockade, I called it, the area that I'd measured in between her legs and drawn it like a crown. A crown, a insane, mad crane. Crane? Jeannie Crane? She looked like Jeannie Crane. Vicky. I was mad about the movies. World War II. That's where I was now. World War II in this room. Yes, this witness box, this room. I was there now, and Vicky, Jeannie Crane, stood before me. There she was, legs slightly apart, as if knickers and lingerie fantasy. The music was now. I heard it radiated out of a box. A music box in my head. I poured a drink. Yes. Smashed it away. That was no good. That wasn't going to get me anywhere. Besides, I was in court. Looked round, I saw a sea of faces. It's like a mutiny. There they all were. They were in uniform. It was a court-martial. They were all laughing, killing themselves, dying, laughing at me, and I'm subdued now, and there was a skeleton. I pointed with my finger, just like Da Vinci's in the painting, St. Anne's, pointed at the skeleton in the ditch. DNA. The DNA. I said it was after the radio went dead. Yes, we were listening, monitoring it, trying to find the ship, the aircraft ship, and the schooner, the yacht. Yeah, they'd all disappeared. They'd all gone off the radar. They'd all gone off the ocean. They'd all gone off the map. It was the triangle, the Bermuda Triangle, in the South Pacific, where I was stationed. That's what it was called, and that's why I was looking up like a wretch. Between her thighs, the stenographer's, because it was there, I was sure. My vivid imagination had transferred this sexual imagery to actual events, and realistically was trying to find a way up between her legs. As I projected my vision into that area between her thighs, I could see in the mirror and match it with a geographic... You see, my voice had gone. A geographical transmogrification match. It was joining. Yeah, the sounds and sounds of my voice in the atmosphere were joining and trying to tell me a new word. A geomogrification. That's what it was. The points I was watching on the woman's body I was looking up were guiding my eyes like an X-ray to inside her, as if a voyage like a ship, and riveting my eyes on it, and I was matching it with quickly writing down, like I was putting in rivets into the log diary, the log on the aircraft carrier, bits of etched sketch of pencil, and it was showing me an area that could take me to where the dam had disappeared. That's where I was sure the plane, the aircraft carrier, all were, because I was on the rescue ship. I remembered now. But here I was, sitting in a courtroom, giving evidence, thinking I was a stenographer looking up her dress. "Get on with it," the barrister said. "Your attention's diverted. What are you looking out there for? What are you looking up there up her dress for? There they were outside the courtroom trying to build a scaffold. Right. D34. That was another file. I glanced out the window. I could hear them. Sun glinted into me, and up her thighs I could see again. Her dress had ridden up again. She was leading me on, doing it for me. She glanced at me. I saw a glint in her eye and her glasses. Yes, she was sketching. Now I saw her. Of course, the wire. There it was. The wire. She was sketching an area. The wire, taking my vision to it, looking up her smooth legs. For right before me she now started to roll down her stockings, even as she kept smiling. And there I saw the wire between the lips. The wire. Yes, it was the IUD, the dam that had prevented my entry. Prevented entry. Prevented my entry. What was I talking about? I'd been allowed to go in there when she let me, the masochist, and she'd let me scold her. And one night, as a special gift, she pressed open her thighs and her lips and let me right in. Up there. Up the hole, up the area. And my God, I held my face in my hands as I remembered in the box. I looked at the barrister, his eyes. He was looking straight at me as if a snake-eyed mirror, a twin, and I told him, I spat at him. I fell in! A sentry. I was reduced to miniature. I turned. I was locked in like a cocoon. I turned round, bound inside. I looked out and I couldn't get out because there was the IUD dam. I was stuck in a area between her thighs. I couldn't get out. I pushed, I bent my elbows back and my shoulders, and I tried to writhe like a snake. I wriggled and I tried to transform myself into like a small python and wriggle my way out between her thighs. On one side were cliffs, seemed like, and I stuck out my tongue and licked on either side, and I licked, and my tongue must have stuck out between her vagina. Because they saw me, I could hear them outside. Oh, there he is! Quick, hold him out! Quick, grab him! Ow! Oh! I was out, breathing inside a surgery, a room, a hospital, or something like that. I'd seen it from afar, from a distance, when I'd been watching myself, my delivery. Then I looked back and I saw her, and she was lying out, shoulders up, bare shoulders and breasts, yes, navel, legs apart, and she died. Long brown hair, was beautiful, was reddish tinged, and eyes. I loved her. I remember. But the plane crashed. The bastard. I had to use these pictures. I knew if I could draw conclusions from them, they'd be used for my education, for the benefit of the world, and that would excuse them. I could charge for my conclusions. They were drawn. I knew the Act would foresee that. It would be all right. So I went on. I was a surgeon. I knew I must operate. As I looked at her body, I knew I must operate. I'd followed the geographical map. Yeah, I'd used it. Here it was. I'd used it before. I'd found it when I'd gone up the vaginal stream and got it out. Used the instrument, the machine, and produced it. Yes, blown it up on the wall and read it, seen the x-ray, watched all the maps, all the contours, all the channels, all the ditches, and removed the blockages. And now she looks so beautiful and pure before me, long black hair, and I knew I had to operate to save her body, to bring her back, her spirit. It was okay, but it was my job, my spiritual surgeon occupation. I'd been designated by God. Yes, here in heaven, up at the halfway house. Yes, at the end of the northwest stand. I was the one who couldn't speak. I was the one who had the no front teeth, but it had been restored. I'd come through as well and been made new, repaired in Avalon. A map, and I followed it. It was of her. I'd placed it over various parts of her chakras. She lay there, beautiful. Yes, I had to go in, legs apart, brown skin. It was so tanned and beautiful. She'd been in the tropics, I was sure. The tropical South Pacific area and the equator on the island. She was one of them. I was sure she was the... Yes, she was a double. She was a twin. She had the TV in her head. I could see it, and the wires were all broken. I could see past her skin. Yes, on the forehead, and there, I could see. Yes, there was the wire bit. It was a twin, XY. It was broken, and I'd have to get in and get the dirt out and get the din. It was a murder outside of the sirens and the war and the police and what had happened in the nuclear holocaust that had destroyed her. This goddess, this beautiful creation. Yes, of him for the world.